Have you ever stood in the middle of a relationship with someone who seems to vanish the moment things get too close? You pour your heart out, you give your love, you show up with everything you have, and just when it feels like a breakthrough, they withdraw. They become distant, quiet, unreachable. And in that moment, your mind screams one word: rejection. But let me tell you something powerful today. What if I told you that their silence, their pulling away, their sudden coldness does not mean they don't love you? What if I told you that when an avoidant runs, it is not always because they're escaping you, but because they are fighting something inside themselves? Something deeper, older, scarier than anything you could imagine. They're not rejecting you. They're wrestling with love itself. You see, avoidant attachment is one of the most misunderstood patterns in relationships. From the outside, it looks like they don't care. It looks like they don't want connection. It looks like they're running from love. But the truth is this: many avoidants want love more deeply than they will ever admit. What they fear is not you. What they fear is the vulnerability, the risk of abandonment, the raw power of closeness. To them, love feels like fire, warm but dangerous, beautiful but terrifying. And here's where the breakthrough happens. When an avoidant starts doing certain things, subtle but undeniable, it's not a sign they're running. It's a sign they're falling in love. They may not show it the way you expect. They may not say it in words, but their actions, their micro shifts, their patterns reveal it. And if you can see these signs, you will never again mistake their distance for rejection. You will realize that their very struggle is proof of their love. This is not about chasing someone who doesn't care. This is about recognizing the difference between someone who is emotionally unavailable and someone who is genuinely in love but terrified of it. Because when an avoidant leans in, even slightly, it means something monumental is happening inside them. Their walls are trembling. Their heart is stirring. Their love is breaking through fear. So today I want to give you the roadmap. 8 powerful signs that an avoidant isn't running from you. They're running from their fear of how much they love you. And once you learn to see these signs, you'll stop doubting yourself. You'll stop thinking you're unworthy. And you'll begin to see the truth that sometimes distance is not a door closing. It's a heart trying desperately to stay safe while still choosing you in the only way it knows how. Let's dive in. When an avoidant begins to let you into their private world, even just a glimpse, it's not rejection you're witnessing, it's love in its rawest form. Avoidants are wired to protect themselves. Their nervous system has been trained to see closeness as danger. To them, intimacy often feels like stepping barefoot on broken glass. It's not that they don't crave love, it's that their body reacts as if love is a threat. So, when they share a piece of themselves, a story from their past, a secret they usually keep locked away, you need to understand how monumental that moment truly is. Think about it. Most avoidants keep their guard up at all costs. They have learned from early life experiences that trust can be broken, vulnerability can be punished, and opening up can lead to abandonment. They wear masks not because they're dishonest, but because the mask feels safer than the raw face of truth. So when they choose to remove that mask, even for a short moment, they are essentially saying, "I trust you enough to see me." That is not running. That is love. You see, for an avoidant, love isn't about constant closeness or words of affirmation. It's about the micro steps toward exposure. It's about the moments when they break their own rules of self-protection. If they share with you something as small as their fears about the future, their stress at work, or even something they regret, pay attention. That is them testing the waters of safety. And the fact that they've chosen you as the one to test those waters with is a declaration. Even if silent, you matter. You are safe. You are someone I want to trust. Here's the irony. Avoidants often fear rejection more deeply than anyone. They act like they don't need closeness, but in truth, they ache for it. The difference is that they won't give that closeness to just anyone. They reserve it for the rare person who has shown them patience, empathy, and consistency. And if you are that person, you will see a side of them others never get to see. So, if an avoidant opens up, even a crack, don't dismiss it. Don't demand more too quickly. Don't pressure them with, "Why can't you tell me everything?" Instead, honor that small opening. Recognize the courage it took. Every time they share, they are defying their own protective instincts. That is love in its purest battle form, fear on one side, affection on the other, and the choice to lean toward you despite the risk. That small disclosure, that quiet admission is not just a moment, it is a milestone. And when you see it for what it is, you'll stop misinterpreting their distance as indifference. Instead, you'll see it for what it truly is, a heart fighting against fear because love is too powerful to be silenced. Another unmistakable sign that an avoidant is not running from you, but is, in fact, falling in love, is when they make time for you even when it goes against their natural instinct for solitude. Avoidants treasure their independence. Alone time is not just a preference, it's a survival mechanism. Being with others, even people they care about, can sometimes feel overwhelming. So, when they choose to carve out space in their tightly guarded schedule for you, that's not casual, it's intentional. Think about how valuable your own time is. When you prioritize someone, you're essentially saying, "You're important enough for me to rearrange my life." For an avoidant, this gesture is magnified tenfold, because for them, giving up solitude is like giving up oxygen. It's not something they do lightly. If they agree to see you, call you back, or even sit with you in quiet presence, it's not because they had nothing better to do. It's because you've moved into the sacred territory of their trust. Now, pay attention to how this time shows up. It may not always look like grand romantic gestures. Sometimes it's as subtle as watching a show together, running errands side by side, or even sitting in silence while both of you are on your phones. Don't underestimate those quiet moments. For an avoidant, the willingness to share space is as loud as saying, "I love you." This is where so many people misinterpret avoidance. They mistake the need for alone time as disinterest. They assume that if the avoidant isn't calling every day, texting constantly, or planning date nights, they don't care. But the reality is this: if they consistently carve out even small amounts of time for you, it means you've become part of their inner circle. Their time is their fortress, and if you're inside that fortress, you're not just another person, you are their person. And here's the truth: love is not measured in the hours spent together, but in the sacrifices made. An avoidant sacrificing solitude is like an extrovert sacrificing connection. It goes against the grain of their natural wiring, yet they do it because their heart won't let them ignore you. Love is pulling them out of their comfort zone. Love is stronger than their instinct to retreat. So, if you notice an avoidant saying yes to time with you, even when they're tired, even when they're stressed, even when they'd normally shut the world out, don't take it lightly. That is not running. That is not indifference. That is love revealing itself in the language of presence. One of the most profound signs that an avoidant isn't running away, but is actually falling in love, is when they begin to let their guard down in moments of vulnerability. Vulnerability for an avoidant is not casual. It's the very thing they've spent their whole life avoiding. To them, showing weakness or exposing a wound feels like putting a target on their chest, yet love has a way of prying open even the most fortified walls. And when you see an avoidant start to reveal their raw, unfiltered emotions, it's not just significant, it's revolutionary. Maybe they cry in front of you when they normally keep their emotions locked away. Maybe they admit that they're scared of losing you. Maybe, for the first time, you see them angry or overwhelmed in a way they've never shown others. These moments aren't signs of dysfunction, they are signs of trust. They are saying, without words, "You're safe enough for me to stop pretending." For an avoidant, vulnerability is not about grand speeches. It's about the moments when the cracks appear in the armor. And here's the truth: those cracks don't mean they're breaking down. It means they're opening up. Love pushes them into a territory they've always feared. But instead of running, they let you see them in their messiness. That's not running. It's leaning in. The beauty of vulnerability is that it builds intimacy. Every time an avoidant lets you see a side of them they usually keep hidden, they're weaving a deeper connection. And while they may later retreat and try to fix the cracks, the fact that you've seen those sides is proof of love. Because love doesn't thrive in perfection. It thrives in imperfection, in the courage to be seen as you are, not as you wish to appear. So when you notice that your avoidant partner starts confessing their fears, admitting their insecurities, or even showing you emotions they once hid, recognize the magnitude of it. They are choosing you over their fear. They are prioritizing connection over control. And that choice, however small it may look from the outside, is one of the clearest signs that they are not running. They are falling in love against their own instinct to protect. Another unmistakable sign that an avoidant is not escaping you, but actually deepening their love, is when they start showing protective behavior. Avoidants are often perceived as detached, self-focused, or even cold. But underneath that shell lies a deep instinct to protect what matters most to them. And when they begin to demonstrate this with you, whether in small gestures or big decisions, it's not running, it's love in motion. Protection can show up in subtle ways. Maybe they check to make sure you got home safe. Maybe they stand closer when you're walking through a crowd. Maybe they argue with someone who disrespected you. Or it could be as simple as them offering to help you solve a problem you're struggling with. These are not random acts. These are primal, instinctive demonstrations of love. For avoidance, protection is safer than verbal expressions. Saying, "I love you," may terrify them, but showing up to guard you, support you, or defend you feels more natural. And if you look closely, you'll notice that the more they love, the more protective they become. It's their way of saying, "You matter. I'll keep you safe in the ways I know how." This is not about control. True protection is about care. It's about prioritizing your well-being above their comfort zone. And when an avoidant sacrifices their own ease to make sure you're okay, it's not because they're running. It's because they're invested. They're taking ownership of your safety and happiness in a way they don't for others. So, the next time you see them step in to carry the load, shield you from harm, or even just check in to ensure you're okay, don't brush it off. Understand what it means. They are breaking through their avoidance, not because they have to, but because love compels them to. That protective instinct is proof that their heart is tied to yours. And no one protects what they don't love. If you really want to know whether an avoidant is running or loving, watch how they handle consistency. Avoidants are often inconsistent by nature. They pull close, then push away. They disappear, then reappear. It can feel like a roller coaster. But here's the key. When an avoidant begins showing steady, reliable patterns of presence, that's not running, it's love stabilizing. Consistency doesn't always mean daily phone calls or constant attention. For an avoidant, it looks like them keeping their word, showing up when they say they will, or staying emotionally engaged even when things get intense. It's those repeated small actions that say, "You matter enough for me to fight my own instincts." Think about how hard this is for them. Their nervous system is trained to escape closeness. Yet, love is training them to stay. Each time they resist the urge to vanish, each time they choose to text back instead of shutting down, each time they keep a promise instead of avoiding conflict, they are proving that love is stronger than fear. This is one of the most powerful indicators that they're invested, because consistency requires discipline. It requires courage. And avoidants don't waste that effort on people they don't care about. If they're showing up again and again, even imperfectly, it's because their heart is tethered to you. So don't overlook the little steady patterns. That consistent goodnight text, that weekly date, that phone call after work. It's love manifesting in the form of reliability. For them, it's not natural, it's not easy. But for you, it's worth it. And that's how you know they're not running, they're staying. They're choosing you. Another sign that an avoidant isn't running but is falling in love is when they begin to prioritize your happiness. Avoidants are often thought of as self-centered because they guard their independence so fiercely. But when love takes root, you'll see them shift. Suddenly, they care about your comfort, your needs, your dreams. They may not express it in poetic language, but their actions begin to show it loud and clear. They might bring you your favorite snack without you asking. They might compromise on something they normally wouldn't. They might ask you how your day went and actually listen. These gestures may look small, but they are enormous for an avoidant, because prioritizing your happiness means they are letting you into their decision-making process. They are considering you when they act. Love transforms their priorities. Instead of only thinking about how to protect themselves, they start thinking about how to support you. And this shift is not casual. It's proof that they see you as part of their future. You are no longer an outsider. They are beginning to weave you into their inner fabric. So, When you notice these subtle acts of kindness, don't dismiss them. Understand the weight they carry. For an avoidant, every act of prioritizing you is an act of love, spoken in their unique language. And when you see it, you'll know they're not escaping. They're building something real with you. A crucial sign that an avoidant is not running but is in fact in love is when they start to compromise. Avoidants love control. They feel safest when they can manage their world on their terms. Compromise to them feels like losing control, and losing control feels like danger. But love pushes them into new territory where compromise becomes a necessity. And when they willingly step into that, it's because you matter more than their comfort. Maybe they compromise on how much time you spend together. Maybe they compromise on plans, on habits, or even on emotional openness. Whatever the scenario, compromise is love in action. It's their way of saying, you're worth the discomfort. You're worth meeting halfway. This is no small shift. For an avoidant, compromise means bending the very rules that once protected them. It means choosing connection over rigidity. It means letting go of the illusion of total control and opening the door to partnership. And they won't do that for just anyone. So, when you see an avoidant adjust their schedule, soften their stance, or meet you where you are, understand the depth of what's happening. They're not giving in out of weakness. They're giving in out of love. It's their way of proving in action that you matter more than their walls. Finally, one of the most undeniable signs that an avoidant isn't running from you, but is truly in love, is when they begin to envision and include you in their future. Avoidants live in the now. Thinking too far ahead can feel threatening because the future holds uncertainty, and uncertainty feels unsafe. But when they start speaking in terms of "wit" instead of just "me," when they invite you into their vision of what's ahead, that's not running, it's commitment in disguise. Maybe they talk about traveling together. Maybe they bring up living arrangements, career moves, or even family discussions with you in mind. These may not always be romantic declarations, but they are monumental for an avoidant. Because what they're really saying is, I see you in my life tomorrow. I see you in my life years from now. And this is the moment when you realize the avoidant isn't rejecting love. They are surrendering to it. They are risking the very thing they fear: abandonment, loss, heartbreak. Because the thought of a future without you is scarier than the fear itself. When you reach this stage with an avoidant, know that you've broken through the barriers. Their love is no longer hidden behind silence or fear. It's alive, it's present, and it's moving forward. They're not running, they're running with you. Love is often misunderstood, especially when it comes wrapped in avoidance. From the outside, it can look like rejection, distance, or indifference. But when you begin to see through the lens of truth, you realize that what appears as withdrawal is often fear, not lack of love. Avoidants don't run because they don't care. They run because they care so deeply that the weight of love feels overwhelming. And when they begin to show signs, small but undeniable, you must learn to recognize them for what they are: acts of courage, not rejection. We've explored 8 powerful indicators that reveal when an avoidant is not running from you, but instead falling in love with you. They open up about their private world. They make time despite their need for solitude. They allow themselves to be vulnerable. They protect you. They show consistency. They prioritize your happiness. They compromise, and they begin to include you in their vision of the future. Each of these actions is monumental for them. Each is a rebellion against their instinct to retreat. Each is love expressed in the only language they know. And here's the deeper truth: when an avoidant takes even one of these steps, they are fighting an internal battle. Their fear says, run. Their heart says, stay. And love wins when they choose you despite their trembling. That's what makes their love so powerful. It's not effortless, it's courageous. It's not casual, it's intentional. And once you recognize this, you stop seeing distance as rejection and start seeing it as proof of their journey toward intimacy. This doesn't mean the path will be easy. Being with an avoidant requires patience, understanding, and emotional strength. But it also means you are being trusted with something rare: a love that is hard-won, a love that defies fear, a love that grows in the face of resistance. And once avoidance crossed that bridge, once they let you in, they love with a depth that is unshakable. Because for them, loving you is not just a choice, it's a victory over every wound that told them love was dangerous. So if you are with someone who seems to retreat, don't be quick to assume they don't care. Look deeper. Pay attention to the small signs. Recognize the weight of every gesture. Because sometimes love is not loud. Sometimes love is not obvious. Sometimes love whispers in the language of avoidance, and it's your awareness that turns that whisper into a song of connection. Remember this, when an avoidant does these things, they're not running from you. They're running from their fear of losing you. They're not closing the door. They're slowly, cautiously opening it. And in that opening lies the miracle of love, a love that's not just surviving fear, but conquering it. And that love, my friend, is worth everything. Thank you for giving your heart, your time, and your attention today. If this message spoke to you, it means you're someone who values love at its deepest level, not just the easy kind, but the real, transformative kind that changes lives. Remember, love isn't always about what's obvious. Sometimes it's hidden in small acts, subtle gestures, and quiet breakthroughs. And if you've recognized these signs in your life, then you already know you're not dealing with rejection. You're standing in the presence of love, learning how to be brave. I encourage you to hold on to this wisdom, apply it in your life, and share it with others who may need hope in their relationships. Together we can change the way the world sees love, less as fear and more as courage. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this message today. Your support keeps this community growing and allows more people to find healing and strength in love. Stay strong, stay patient, stay open, because love is never lost. It's just learning how to find its way. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of the love you're building. Goodbye.